much. Steph said, okay, I'll do it. I'll give you 50, okay? And I hope that's enough.
That's crazy.
And that 50 was enough. And so tonight, 41, he put the game away with that three-dagger three with 43 seconds to go, gave him an 8-point lead, which was pretty safe.
It was pretty safe.
Yeah, I think it's just a luxury to have a guy like that on your team as this team works out its kinks, its little, as they find a way to come together. It's going to take a little while. It's going to, it might be, like I said, a couple of months before this team finds itself. But right now, when you have 30 on your team, it makes everything a little bit easier.
I got so excited about this win. I didn't even do the house rules, folks. I'm Zena, Keita, joined by Monte, Poole, as you can tell, the authority on the Warriors. And Monte, you watched this game and you saw them having fun.
Yeah.
Right? But it wasn't that way the full way, right? No. You just mentioned Steph Curry did have to step up. There were some elements of non-Steph minutes, which we will talk about.
Early on, it was bad.
It was bad. There was a difference between what happened in the first to second versus what happened to the second to the
Big
third.
Time.
And I think the third quarter Warriors might be a thing again. Do you guys remember when that was a thing? When the Warriors would come back from halftime and obliterate their opponent? Yeah. It might be a thing, folks. It might be a thing. So let's first get into how Steph did his thing tonight. Because it started first quarter, just 7 points. Second quarter, just 11. Cool stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then that third quarter, he went off. What do you think made him kind of wake up in that way?
Well, Steph is one of those guys that when he sees other guys are kind of searching for their game, he figures, okay, he knew he had it going. He was making shots at a really efficient clip. He made 41 points on 19 shots is efficient as heck, so you take it every single time. And so, okay, he's thinking, okay, other guys will get going, Clay will get going, maybe Wiggs will get going, and we'll find a way. But in the meantime, I do have it going. So I'm going to try and get this team to where it has to go. And so in that third quarter, like we said, of their first 23 points in that quarter, Steph scored 16 of those points. And the lead was 10. And at that point, you thought, okay, the Warriors should be in pretty good shape.
Right.
And they were. They didn't lose the lead. I mean, the Kings made a late run, and Steph came back again and said, okay, guys, settle down. This ain't happening on my watch.
Yeah, right.
Boom, 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 and finally they put it away. But I think Steph's just one of those guys who understands that when he has it going and his teammates are kind of like trying to find their way, he can go ahead and shoot. And there were times when he got selfish, and he needed to be selfish.
Right.
So
I love the energy that he had tonight.
Yes.
Right? You think about that 4-point play.
Do it again. How you do it?
It was dropped first, I think, and then it was 1-2. He counted it out.
Yes.
He had to make sure people knew what was going on. No, he was having fun, tongue wagging. The night celebration came out again. It was in the preseason. It's now here in the regular season. Game 2 felt like the playoffs. It was exhilarating to see him play.
Yeah, the Warriors-Kings games, I think, for a while, at least for the foreseeable future, are going to be fun.
Yes.
You got two teams that are going to be in the playoffs, and the Kings have been, for so many years, the Kings looked up to the Warriors like, we'll never beat those guys. And they wouldn't. And so now the Warriors are coming back and saying, you know what? The Warriors kind of come down a little bit because let's face it, 5 years ago, the Warriors were like the odds-on favorite to win a championship every year.
Correct.
And now they're like fourth or fifth or sixth favorite team to get there. So all these other teams, Milwaukee and Boston and LA and Phoenix and Denver.
The West is busy.
Right. but the Kings have closed the gap.
Right.
They've come up, the Warriors come down. And so it makes for a highly competitive basketball. And there's a lot of pride at stake, but it's not a lot of venom right now. It's just like the Kings want to show who they are, and the Warriors want to show who they still are.
Right.
And so tonight was one of those nights when you go up to Sacramento and you want to win a game after you lost the first game, which the Warriors did against the Suns, you want to show, okay, look, people have been dogging us about the road. Last year, they were 11-30. They don't want to hear about it. Steve Kerr said that was last year. We don't want to talk about that.
Right.
But, you got to show people. And tonight was a good showing because Sacramento's a tough place to play.
You just mentioned the fact that they're being dogged about the road and they're trying to keep the main thing this season. When you looked at what happened for the Sacramento Kings in their first game out against the Utah Jazz, 130 points, right? Putting up 51 threes. I mean, they didn't make 51
in Utah,
threes, but they shot 51 threes in Utah. And there was a team chemistry, there was a team poise that you saw out of Sacramento that coming into this game you thought would create some parity. that would create a little bit of a competitive game. And like, okay, we don't know who might take this.
Yeah.
Tonight, it felt as if the Warriors were like, we got the team chemistry. I know that first game against the Suns may looked a little bit rocky, but they did figure it out eventually.
Yeah,
and
for
I
the
think
most part.
CP3 helped with
like,
that significantly.
You figure Chris Paul, 12 assists, 3 turnovers, which for him is high. But
Yeah.
still 4-1.
Right.
It's still 4-1
Right.
that you take from any point guard you can have. So you look at that, but and then like Chris pointed out after the game, that last few minutes of the game there, it got kind of hairy. They started giving things away and the deep turnovers and getting kind of sloppy there. But that's why Steph is the ultimate closer.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, you guys coming back on us. Okay, that 12-point lead is now 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, and De'Aaron Fox is hitting shots. Steph like, wait a minute, let me cool this off.
Sure.
Let me cool this off.
What I like, though, is that these role players were able to realize between first quarter and second quarter, those non-Steph minutes were, for lack of a better word, atrocious.
They were bad. They were really bad.
They were really bad. But then you saw what happened in the second, from going from the bottom of the second into the third quarter, and it was almost as if it was a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And you saw CP3 bring the best out of Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga and be able to get the ball movement going. There was a great swinging from side to side, penetration, kickouts. I mean, you could see, we cannot make this a storyline anymore.
Right.
We cannot say that the non-Steph minutes are a thing anymore. Do you think that this is
I think there's still
thing?
some work to be done. I think that they have to show it. I mean, that first half, I think they were minus 11 and Steph was off the floor. That's pretty ugly. But second half, it was much better. And I think for the Warriors to really know that they're okay with the non-Steph minutes, which I think they will get there.
Sure.
But it's going to depend on a lot of, not just Chris Paul. It's going to be what kind of consistency do you get from guys like Moses Moody, from Jonathan Kuminga, from Dario Saric, from Gary Payton II. Those are guys that are going to have to be somewhat consistent before you can say, okay, now that second unit is ready to rock and roll. And again, we keep not forgetting, but let's mention that Draymond Green is not even a factor right now. He's not playing. So when he returns, that'll change things around a little bit again. But I think when you look at Jonathan, Moses, and Gary, Dario, and Chris, I think that's going to be your primary second unit right there. Eventually. I don't know how long it'll take, whether it be 3 weeks or 3 months, but I think that's what you're going to get. But I think over time, that'll be a pretty good group. And the question is whether Dario can be a 5. Can he really be a center? I think right now there's some question about that. The first 2 games, he kind of got knocked around a little bit. But tonight Steve Kerr put in Trace Jackson-Davis, give him 5 minutes.
So exciting.
Yeah, well, why not?
He didn't. Right, exactly. He's got the size. Why not try? He looked a little timid.
Right.
I would say that.
He's
but
gonna look that.
He's going to look timid. He's a rookie. This is his first go out. But speaking of that 5 group that you think is the second core, we've got their floor leader, CP3, at the podium. Let's see what he thought.
What you got to say for it, CP?
We saw that they had put Sabonis on Wig. You know what I mean? So that was just, when you got a lot of high IQ basketball guys out on the court, you sort of just figure it out as you go, and we saw something.
Was tonight an example, especially later on in the second half, of what your guys' second unit, your depth, and putting this together?
Yeah, me and Dre was talking about it on the bench. I think we just got a great mix of guys, so we can just keep putting in different waves. We want to go big, we want to go small. I don't know. I think we just got a great balance.
Preseason for Jonathan, and then the first 2 regular season games for Moses. Just what have you noticed from those 2 third-year guys?
Just they playing with confidence. I think when you guys like that, especially young guys on a team with such high expectations, you just need confidence. You need reps, and I think they've been doing that. They've been putting the work in. Even before I got here, but I see them day in and day out putting the work in, and it's showing up.
What did you guys do? You guys really dominated second and third quarter. How are you guys able to do it?
I don't know. Honestly, I got to watch it. I'd be so into the game or whatnot, trying to figure out the plays and what's going on. But I'll watch it. But I know our defense was a little better tonight in spurts. But we know what we can do offensively. We got so many weapons and whatnot. It's just gonna come come down to how we guard night in and night out.
What do you think of the reaction of Bird? They got that 4-point play. Usually he's pretty demonstrative there in that the reaction.
Seen that before.
Is it strange for you to get him going on one of those flurries and like fist pump? Like, yes.
Nah. I mean, like I said, I hadn't seen it before, then gave a few dams and all that, you know what I mean? But we all on the same side now, you know, so it's really dope to be on the side of when you drive and the guys don't want to help and you're getting wide open layups. And it's fun for a guy like me that passes the ball. And I mean, when Clay coming off, you know, every time he shoot it, I think it's going in. So playing with those guys makes the game a lot easier.
Chris, whether it's body language or not second guessing, how can you tell when a young player is exuding more confidence, like Moses and JK?
I don't know. It might just be, you know, how quick they catch the ball and drive or how quick they shoot it and not as much thought, you know, and I think that's, you know, what the coaching staff and the guys on our team just keep telling them to do is hoop and play. Because like I said, you see the work, you see it day in and day out, and we all still got to keep getting better. You know what I mean? I'm probably like 1 for 17 in my middies, you know what I mean? So all these things, I think we just going to keep getting better with time.
Chris, are you developing a bond faster with this team as opposed to some teams you've been on in the past?
I don't know. I've been on some, in my first year in Phoenix, we went to the finals. That wasn't too bad. You know what I mean? So, but that's always the case. I mean, honestly, when I go to a team, because I understand, you know, leadership and what it looks like to put the work in. At the end of the day, guys only going to respect you if you can hoop. You know what I mean? They ain't going to listen to what you say. First and foremost, you got to show that you can hoop. And I'll try to do that wherever I went.
What has it been like working with him and what he puts so you're around his impact on the game?
GP so good, man. And I mean, I played against this team a lot, but you got to realize GP is the guy who used to guard me when I played them. You know, JK is the guy who guarded me. So I like defense. I really enjoy defense. I mean, I'm a little older now, but I 9-time all defense. So with our defenders, I'm constantly talking to them about letting them know you're not on your own. You know what I mean? You guard, but we're going to help you. And that's the thing. Like, even the championships, I feel like they won here. Yes, Steph, Clay, them can go off, but it's been a defense.
What's Trace able to give you guys tonight?
Trace was great. He was great, man. I'm sure he didn't think or know he was probably going to get thrown in like that and for a young guy to come in. And we telling him all types of things. We had drew up a play that when we came out the timeout, but they missed the shot and we running up the court. And I said, no, Trey, forget that play, set the screen, you know, but he just, like I said, we have a great group of guys who just want to try to do the right thing.
Kind of alluded to the fact that it seems like you can get to the rim easier with all the space on this team. I mean, is that rare from what you've seen in the last couple of years? It does seem like you're getting to the rim.
I mean, it's a different team. We play a different way. You know, we gotta, you know, with Dario and we gotta stretch 5. You know, so it just opens the court up a little bit more. And then Loon, he knows how to play too, because Loon might pop, go dribble handoff. So it's just every team is different, you know. And I think what I've been able to do throughout my career is change with, you know, how each team plays.
It's interesting to hear him say when he used to play against the Warriors, Gary Payton used to guard him, right? Jonathan Kimming used to guard him. And now these are the guys that he's mentoring.
Yeah. I mean, and it's funny to watch because, I mean, Chris Paul is one of the reasons, they brought him for many reasons, brought him to the Warriors. And one of those reasons is his leadership ability. And, you know, I was talking to a guy I respect big time, David West, former Warrior. And, you know, I talking to him about leadership and guys he's played with. And he mentioned Chris, you know, because he played with Chris in New Orleans, you know, and he said Chris is, you know, he knows what he's doing. And when you watch Chris play and you hear him talk, you see he knows the game. And he has a way to convey it. And that's why everywhere he's gone, he's had a positive impact on the young guys that were below him. I mean, I always tell people, look at what was DeAndre Jordan before Chris Paul and what's he been since Chris Paul? You know, Blake Griffin.
I was just going to say, you could go down that Clippers roster.
Yeah. And it's like, so, and I think when you look at guys like Moody and Kuminga, I mean, Gary a little bit, but mostly Moody and Kuminga right now. I mean, Trace eventually. The young guys will be able to just be a sponge and just soak up what this guy can teach them, because like he's not here to be a coach. He'll be the first to say that. Like he said, you got to hoop.
Yeah, right.
If you can't hoop, they won't listen to you. But he's hooping, and he's also a guy who can like just pull guys aside and say, hey, try this next time or try that next time. And so what you have is with the Warriors is another brain in the operation, and that can only be good.
Well, that brain definitely helped them close out this game. We're going to talk about what that looked like on the road for the Warriors to get a road win. We know that that was a problem last year. We'll be talking about it right after the break. Don't go anywhere on Dubs Talk Live.
YouTube.
Every time. Hello, YouTube. What's up, friends? Oh, you good?
No, yeah, we can do it.
Okay, cool. One thing I wanted to talk about that we did not talk about on the show yet, and I don't know if we'll have a moment to talk about, but
We can.
I love the amount of capitalization off of turnovers.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a really cool
Yeah.
stat to see for you guys to know.
Yeah.
Warriors only forced 14
Right.
turnovers versus Sacramento forcing 19, but
26 points.
26 points.
Yeah.
And that's a really big thing. Chris Mullin talks about this all the time, is that you want to be able to force turnovers and then go.
Yeah.
Right? You want your defense to transition you into offense. And so that's a beautiful thing. That is Warriors basketball. That's moving fast, that's moving quickly, that's moving without dribbling, right? Those passes up the court. And so I love that there's remnants of old Warriors coming out right now, which is a huge thing.
Absolutely. No, I totally. Totally.
Totally. Guys, Monte agrees with me. I don't know. I might be doing my job well.
You're doing great.
I might be doing my job well. But no, I thought that was really cool. I think there's a lot of other things like, Steph tongue wagging for me. It's really, I asked Chris Paul when we were at Media Day, like, how do you get excited for for this after so long, et cetera? And I think the same thing, 15 seasons with the same team, the same elements of the game. I love to see these veterans still enjoying this,
Yes.
right? Still savoring this. And it's just pretty. It's pretty basketball.
Both Steph and Chris say the same thing, that if you're not excited, maybe it's time to hang it up, And so they are, and they get into it.
Facts. Welcome back to Dubs Talk Live. Warriors took down Sacramento Kings on the road. It's not that far, but it's still the road. It counts.
That's right.
122-114. But yeah, let's talk about that fourth quarter, because there was a section where I was like, oh, we good. We're great. We being the people that are watching this game, if you're cheering for the Warriors. But then there was a moment where the Kings mounted a comeback. And you saw De'Aaron Fox do De'Aaron Fox things and show us why Curry chose him to be his signature athlete.
Yeah.
It was a little scary, but this is what I'm excited about. The Warriors showed resilience.
Yes.
This is something you would not have expected out of them last season.
No, the way they did last season on the road is they gave away a bunch of games. And so for them to go on the road and take a nice lead, almost a comfortable lead, and then they started getting loose with the ball and turnovers started coming, and the Kings are a team that won't quit.
Right.
And De'Aaron Fox was probably the best clutch player in the league last year. He was huge, and so when you get De'Aaron Fox on the court and a game starts going like this, and they're behind, he's a killer.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you don't let him take this thing away from you. So, and that's where Steph comes in, and the Warriors played enough defense down the stretch to kind of hang on. So, but something you talked about during the break is that turnovers are a part of the game. We all know that, but let's face it, there's two kinds of turnovers. There's the ones that don't hurt you so much because it just happened, they take the ball out and then they go down court. But it's those giveaways. It's the live ball turnovers that shoot the other team the other way and they get a transition dunk, a transition three.
Yep.
And tonight, how'd the Warriors do on those?
They were better. Yeah. They were better.
Yeah.
And that was a growth as well to see from game one.
Yeah.
Right? Again, we're still 2 games in, but this is really cool to see the Warriors being able to learn from their lessons. And also, when you think about who you're playing against, the Sacramento Kings are going to put the ball up.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to try to put the ball in the bucket. And to be able to see people coming down the court, getting back on defense, aggressively closing out, but Smart, right? For the most part. Those were some of the ticky-tack fouls that they got in game one that you didn't see in this game as well. That being said, I'm curious to ask you, Monte. The question of the Warriors being too small, it was a thing in game one against the Phoenix Suns. Nurkic and Eubanks were kind of having their fun. And you don't expect that out of Yusuf Nurkic. But Sabonis tonight handled pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, he had nice numbers.
He had nice numbers, but still handled pretty well.
Yep.
Do you think size inside or size on the wing and length on the wing is more of a concern? Which one to you?
No, I think size inside. You know, I think the wing length is okay when you look at Clay, Wiggs. Gary's only 6'3", 6'4", but he's got a 6'9" span, you know.
Monte, now you know he is not 6'3", 6'4". He's like 6'2".
Well, okay. But he's 6'9" this way.
Yes,
you know,
right.
so
Yeah, he plays much bigger than his
that
size.
matters, you know.
Yeah.
And so, and Clay's guarding some forwards this year, and he did a pretty nice job on KD the other night. I thought Clay didn't shoot the ball very well.
I
but
agree.
Defensively, he made KD work.
Correct.
I think KD was 7 of 22. You take it every single time you play Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
So I think they're okay there, but I think there's going to be some games where they get beat up in the paint. And Draymond will help that, but again, he's 6'6", 6'11", 7-foot wingspan. That helps. So you got to keep those things in mind. But I do think that may come a point in time this season where the Warriors go, you know what? We may have to add another body, a big body.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how they handle that.
Well, you said size inside is more of an issue, but we'd be remiss not to talk about Cavon Looney being Iron Man Looney.
Oh.
Hit his knee in the first half and was kind of limping down the court a little bit, and still 12 rebounds, 9 in the first half, put bodies, and then that crossover. Woo! I was like, okay, high school Loon, we remember. We remember.
You know, there are people that don't know Loon has that in his bag.
Right.
You know? But here we go. Here we go. Watch this. It's Loon.
Boom, boom, boom.
Oh! Woo-hoo.
Wham.
Look at the bench.
I was look, the whole bench was on the
bench
court.
like, whoa!
I was shocked that they didn't get a violation or something but I felt the same way inside.
Yeah, I mean, because you know, you've never seen that Looney do that in a game.
Yeah.
They see it in practice every now and then, you know. But for him to break it out in a game, it's like, whoa, look at Looney, you know. So it's one of those things where when Cavon Looney gives you like a shake and bake, you're like, where the heck that come from?
Yeah.
But it came from the fact that that was in his bag when he was in high school.
He was a
and every
PG.
now and then he breaks it out. Exactly. This dude was a top 5 recruit out of Milwaukee, and unfortunately, he had the hip issues that slowed him down. Different kind of player now, but every now and then you see a flash.
That's 2 games straight that Cavon Looney has gone above the rim. I like this. I like this. I like this. All right, guys, we are going to take a break, but right after, we're going to talk about the next games that the Warriors have to face on this 8-game stand on the road. Hello, everyone.
What's up, YouTube?
YouTube, we just appreciate you guys like hanging out with us and talking Warriors with us, because especially, you know, win or lose, it's always interesting to like watch the Warriors get better and improve. And I think the thing that I wanted to get back to was what you were talking about, the fact that Draymond isn't even here yet.
Yeah, he's over there on the bench in street clothes. Wearing shades indoors.
Right, indoors. It's, you know, hater blockers. He got his hater blockers on. But you make a really good point, because they're getting adjusted now to what this looks like, right? What this second string looks like, or what this rotation looks like. And when he comes back, that's a new adjustment.
Yes.
And that's like getting a whole new team again, right? That's 30 minutes that you now have to figure out how to carve up.
Right.
To give
Somebody's
to
gonna lose
Draymond.
playing time.
Correct,
Yes.
exactly. And when you look at a Jonathan Kuminga, you look at a Trace, you look at Shark, you realize, wow, this is going to be another adjustment period for the Warriors. How do you think they're going to handle that?
Well, I think they'll be fine. You know, I still think, you know, and whenever Steve Kerr is asked about the question, is Chris Paul going to be a starter, you know, yada, 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 he deflects it, and then we're still figuring that out. I think he has a good idea of what he wants to do. I mean, we keep reminding people that the Warriors last year, their starting 5 of Curry, Thompson, Wiggins, Green, and Loon, they had the best metrics in the league. Better than Denver. Denver was number 2 to them, and Denver's starting 5 is hellacious. We all know that, you know, when you got Jamal Murray out there.
Hellacious is a great word. That's a great word to describe.
KCP and Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon and the Joker, that's tough. But the Warriors are really good there, and where Chris probably needed most is with the second unit. They need him there.
Yeah, yeah. All right. This is what the Dubs have to look forward to. This was game 1 of 8 on the road. They are now going to another city down in Texas, going against the Houston Rockets, and then on to New Orleans and the Pelicans.
Back to back.
Back to back, guys. That's not an easy travel right there. And you know, they got some youngins in the Rockets that want to take them down. They want to prove something, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a similar game to what the Kings gave, right? And then you think about the Pelicans.
Well, yeah.
And that's a game.
The Warriors swept the Rockets last year.
They did.
But
they
the
were
Warriors
young.
lost both games in New Orleans last year. Both times.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, both of those games are on the second night of back-to-backs, just like this game is going to be. So I'm curious to see if Steve Kerr plays Draymond on Sunday. Or we said, let's hold him out till Monday for that back-to-back when we really need the reinforcement. So I'm curious to see how he does that. But I do think Draymond will play in one of these games, maybe both. But I think he will play definitely in one of those games. The back-to-back thing is, you know, you talk about it a lot because it can be tough. But if you're a Warrior and you're a veteran player, you kind of know how to handle it. In Milwaukee, but Houston, from Houston to New Orleans, the flight is like a half an hour. You know, you fly over the water.
It's kind of like going to Sacramento.
Yeah, you fly over the water, you know, and you're there. But still, it's a back-to-back. And so I think it's going to tell you a lot about what this team, if they can win both of those games, that would be huge.
That'll be huge. Well, we will be back on Sunday for another game here on Dubs Talk Live. Monte, you'll be with me, right?
Yes, so I will.
We'll be turning up, talking about the Dubs. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm Zena, Keita, Monte, Poole for you. Enjoy your weekend, folks. And thanks for watching Dubs Talk Live. Also want to just give love. Kareth, I see all of y'all giving love to Kareth in the comments.
Yeah.
KB, did you see her tweet? She said that there was an earthquake today, guys. And she immediately went to go check on baby Burke, who was sleeping. A godsend, okay? We love her, we miss her, of course, and she's still around. She'll be back very soon, but right now, she's like our injured star guard. She'll be, you know, she's got to heal up and she'll be back.
She got a little boy to take care of,
She
you know,
does.
and
She got
she's
some
loving
things.
that, you know, and it's, you know, so it's,
Yeah.
for her, it's a change in her life.
Yeah.
And so she's really enjoying it, except for those moments, of course, when he gets cranky, but, you know.
That happens.
That's
That
part of the deal.
That's part of the deal. That's
So-
part of the deal. So you said, you know, we're talking about NOLA, we're talking about the Rockets. Out of these next 2 games, anyone that like pops out that you're like really particularly excited to see? I want to see that rematch with the Kings next week.
Oh, next weekend here.
Here.
Yeah, that's an odd thing, scheduling thing too.
Very.
2 games on the road, 1 game home, then back on the road.
Then back on the road.
What the-
Yeah, it's very strange.
But
yeah.
I'll tell you what I want to see. I want to see Zion.
Don't we all?
Because we don't see
Don't
enough
we
of
all?
him.
Don't we all?
We get teased by this dude, you know?
Yeah, we do. We got distracted by this dude.
You see the Zion highlights, it's like, whoa,
Right.
whoa, whoa, and then he's out for another 2 months. You know, it's like, come on, Zion.
He's the thing that we've just been like anticipating, and then I felt the same way a little bit about Chet Holmgren. So I'm like really happy to see him.
Missed a whole year.
Right,
Yeah.
missing a whole year.
Yeah.
So hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy. But you're right, Zion's just been a delayed pop. Right, a delayed pop for years. So
Yeah, he plays 15, 20, 30 games or whatever, and that's it. You know, and you don't see him again. And then he shows up again, he plays a few games, and he does some crazy dunks and stuff, and you don't see him again. And so I want to see Zion, and I want to see how the Warriors deal with him, because you talk about size. Zion is one of those guys who, I think he's 6'7", but the way he jumps, and as wide as he is, I mean, he takes up a lot of space. So
didn't they call him Baby LeBron?
He's got some all that in there. He's got some Barkley in there. He's got some LeBron in there. I mean, he's got a lot of that game, but he is so quick for a guy that big too. I mean, you see him sometimes.
He's incredibly agile.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I just want to see how the Warriors deal with him.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see that.
That's a
and
load.
I'm also curious, you know, have you had a chance to talk to Draymond? I'm not sure, but about coming back, and then also coming back on the road is tough. Steph had to do it last year. Right? It's much different than being at home in your facilities and all the above. But what do you anticipate with him coming back on the road, potentially?
Draymond's been around, so I think he'll be fine. I think, with him, he's been feeling much better for like over a week now.
Yeah.
But it's just been conditioning. They want to get his conditioning right to where they can put him out there and him not go.
Fair.
You don't want to embarrass a guy,
Right.
like put him out there and he goes 3 minutes and he gasps.
Or cramp. Like,
yeah,
right.
yeah. So
You don't want any
you
of
don't
that.
want that. And
Yeah.
so he'll go out there when he's ready, and I think that he will do some good things for this team. Now, it could be a little ragged at first because he hasn't been out there.
Sure.
There is some rust he'll have to shake off. But Draymond's a pro, and he'll spend a lot of his time with guys he's familiar with, and I think that'll make it easier for him.
It will be very, very cool to finally be able to see what all of this looks like when the picture is.
Yeah, it
the
starts
pizzles-
coming together when he
Starts
comes
coming
back.
together.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thank you guys on YouTube for joining us. We appreciate you. We'll be back on Sunday. Have a good night, guys. Enjoy your weekend.